The objective of this talk today is to help you learn how to put things in order. So you could say that the topic today that we'll be discussing is order, putting things in order. And I don't mean just in your house or with your schedule, but I'm talking about order in the mind as well. I remember a few weeks ago, I was raking leaves in the garden. Now, under this lockdown of 2020, it means having to do a lot more chores around the house. So, for instance, the gardener who would usually come around once or twice a week hasn't been coming around as often. So, I've had to do a lot of raking of leaves in the autumn. And there's nothing more frustrating than spending a lot of time raking leaves. And then just at the end of it, when you turn around and you look at the yard, so I turned around and looked at the yard, and then there was another gust of wind, and boom, gone. All my work down the drain. Leaves came down, covered the yard all over again. And I just found myself asking, why? I just spent 30 minutes raking the yard, and one gust of wind, and all that work has gone down the drain. Why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time? And that's the thing about order, isn't it? That's the thing about arranging things and cleaning things up, whether it's your room, whether it's the boot of your car, whether it's things in the kitchen. It feels kind of repetitive, and one can ask yourself, I'd keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. What's the point? Why? Why do I have to do this? And it's funny and it's unfortunate that in nature we've got this thing called entropy, where everything, naturally speaking, when left to themselves, will just tend to a state of chaos and disorder. This is another thing I've noticed, especially during this lockdown, with having to do much more cleaning than usual. You know, you'd clean the house, I'd clean the house, and then I'd think to myself, okay, it's looking really good, it's looking spick and span. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and you realize, okay, the dust is back and the cobwebs are back, and I have to clean again and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat over and over again because there's this entropy when you just, and it's not, I insist, it's not that, I had done anything specific. I hadn't done anything specific. Things just tended back into a state of almost natural chaos. So it begs the question, why not just leave things as they are? Why make this consecutive, repeated effort to clean things up, put things in order, arrange things? What's the purpose of having order in our day-to-day lives? Why? When things were going to tend to disorder anyway, it's going to happen in any case. So why even try, right? I'm sure you've had that experience where you've wasted a lot of time because you can't find your car keys. I know I have. You're late for a meeting just because you're looking for your car keys, or you're looking for a wallet, or you're looking for your driver's license. It's happened to me a number of times. I've had that experience a number of times where I've slept really badly at night because I stayed up late scrolling through social media much longer than I should have. And as I was lying awake at night in bed, I thought to myself, I really should have turned off the computer much earlier than I should have, because it was not worth the insomnia I'm experiencing right now. I've had situations where I've missed deadlines at work because I spent too much time formatting a document rather than finishing a document. So I've had some painful experiences because of the law of entropy, this natural tendency towards chaos and disorder that just happens when things are left to themselves. So it begs the question, why even fight it? What are the benefits of trying to put things in order, trying to have an arrangement for things? Last year, I went back to my alma mater, University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, because one of the things I loved most about my university was the library. I'd spend hours and hours and hours getting lost in the books in the library. And I remember as I was checking out a book from there, because I'd just gotten an alumnus card, so I could check out books as an alumnus. So I went there, and then as I was taking some books out, I recognized the librarian, and she also recognized me. Now, this librarian, this was a full 10 years after I'd graduated, right? This librarian was still there, still wearing the same librarian's overcoat, still stamping books, arranging books, putting them on those little trolleys that they have in libraries, uh, taking them in, checking them out. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we both smiled. And I said, "Wow, so you're still here, after so many years?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm still serving you guys, still serving your students." I said bye bye. She said bye bye, and I left. But after that, it got me thinking. I don't know if I could have pulled off a job like that for a full 15, 20 years, which is about the time she's been doing that job. But then I realized that what she said at the tail end of that conversation, just in passing, really explained why she was able to do the same repetitive thing day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out for decades. And I think it came down to what she said right at the end. I'm still here helping you guys, helping you students. Her why was clear. The reason she was doing it was absolutely crystal clear in her mind. She was there rendering a service to students. Now, if you take a step back and think about it, you'll realize that even though she never ever saw the effects that it had on students' lives. She never saw the people who went on to graduate and to get fantastic jobs and to progress in their careers and to make impacts on the lives of many, many other people through the tiny, repetitive job that she was doing day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out. She never ever saw that, but she was clear in her head that she was having an impact. And I think that is what enabled her to be able to keep going, doing this seemingly repetitive thing over and over and over again. Even though she couldn't see the immediate consequences, the immediate impact, it was clear in her mind that she was really helping people. And even though she didn't see it, that why gave her the energy, gave her the motivation to keep going. And I really think the same thing applies to order, on a much smaller scale, of course. But when it comes to something like raking leaves in the garden, I've found that I have to keep reminding myself that even though the wind is going to come and blow the leaves onto the yard again, and I'll think to myself, why on earth am I doing this? Isn't this just a waste of my time to do this over and over and over again? I have to remind myself that when the yard is clean, when my room is clean, when my house is clean, it communicates to my mind that I have a certain standard that I'm holding myself to in every aspect of my life. And that's really important. That's why I try and keep the yard and my house and my room and everything clean. That's the why. If I have a schedule that I'm trying to follow, if I have a schedule that tells me go to sleep at a certain time and don't stay up while scrolling through social media, why is that? It's so that I can sleep well at night. If you're an insomniac like myself, so I can sleep well at night and I can have enough mental energy the next day to do all the things I'm supposed to do in terms of giving a service to the people who have hired me. That's the why. That's clear. So in every aspect, it can be even something as simple as, why is it important to finish a draft before I format? It's because the person who's waiting for this document from me wants to see a finished thing and doesn't care too much whether this thing is bold or italicized. He just wants to get the idea out of it first. That's the why. If the why is clear, it makes it much, much easier, or much, much more bearable, I should say. If you find it as difficult as I do to keep things in a neat and orderly state, it makes it a little bit more bearable to go through this repetitive action of fighting entropy on a day-to-day basis. Just an interesting fact about this whole idea of putting things in order, which actually comes down to the idea of priorities, of having a priority, of knowing the reason I'm doing this is because this is uppermost in my mind. This is the priority. The word priority never had a plural or was never used with a plural in the English language until the mid or late 1800s. Before that, priority was always used in a singular form. That's an interesting concept to think about. That in our minds, You can never have two things that are of the same importance, of the same priority level. Just like a competition, you can never have two winners. You have to have a tiebreaker. You need to have a final. You need to have a moment when you decide this why is more important than the other why. And that's the ultimate basis of order, having our whys in our mind correctly staggered. Unfortunately, that takes thought and reflection. But that is at the foundation of this virtue, of this habit of order, thought and reflection on what one's why is for any specific reason, for any specific aspect of life, and keeping it clear, and at the front and center of one's mind. This is my why. This is the most important thing. And because of that, I'm going to keep doing these repetitive actions over and over and over again. Please leave a comment in terms of your experiences with order and the virtue of order and arranging things and keeping things neat and tidy and orderly. Maybe you can help someone out there. Maybe you can help me. I'd love to hear what your tips and tricks are, especially how you think through this topic of order in the comment section below. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me this time. See you next time.